Hello everyone, in this video we're going to draw the Mutadon from Jurassic World Rebirth. Start by drawing a circle as a guide for the front part of the body. And an easy way to draw a circle is to first make a couple of small marks to indicate the circle's height, and then on the sides make a couple more small marks to indicate the circle's width. Then just connect the small marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. And sketch lightly at first so that it's easy to erase if you make a mistake. Also pause the video as you follow along to draw at your own pace. And you don't have to draw a perfect circle, but if you're having trouble drawing one, just trace the outer edge of a coin, a bottle cap, or anything else with a circular edge. And to the left, draw another circle as a guide for the back portion of the body. And use the 4 marks method to draw this circle too, so make 4 small marks to indicate the sides of the circle, and then connect the small marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. Make this circle slightly bigger than the first circle and draw it slightly higher too because the back portion of the body slopes upward. And on the right side, draw another circle as a guide for the head. And place this circle slightly farther away from the first circle to make room for the neck. Make this circle about half the size of the first circle. Inside the head circle, draw a horizontal line to split the shape in half. And this will be a construction guide to help you place the facial features later. Extend the horizontal construction guide farther to the right, and then add a curved line at the top to create the top jaw. Make sure that this guide is wider on the left side and a bit more narrow on the right. And at the bottom, draw a similar shape as a guide for the lower jaw. Draw the jaws far apart on the head to create the open mouth. Starting in the middle of the front part of the body, draw a long angled line for the first part of the front arm or wing. And draw this line going to the left and then slope it down and to the right at the bottom. Pause the video so that you can replicate the angles of the line onto your drawing. And at the very bottom, bend the line back to the left. And starting near the bottom tip of the angled line, draw a long curved line for the folded wing. And curve this line to the top left side so that it's high above the body. Pay attention to how high above the body the line is. Now under the circle for the back portion of the body, draw a long angled line as a guide for the leg. And the top of this line should bend to the left, and then angle the line down, and at the very bottom, bend the line back to the right. And to the right, draw a similar angled line as a guide for the other leg. Bend the leg at the top to indicate a joint, and again at the bottom for the foot. Now connect the head to the body using a couple of curved lines to create the guide for the neck. The line at the bottom should be a lot longer and more curved. And connect the body circles at the top using a curved line to finish the guide for the torso. Starting on the top part of the circle on the left, draw a long curved line as a guide for the tail. This line should be almost as long as the entire body. And that's it for the guidelines. Now let's start on the final drawing. Inside the head, lightly sketch a small circle for the eye. And place the circle for the eye above the horizontal construction guide but below the top edge of the head circle. And when you get the size and position of the eye right, darken the shape. As you darken the shape, make the sides pointier for the corners of the eye. Inside the eye, draw a tiny dot for the pupil. And above the eye, draw a sloping line for the bottom edge of the thick brow. And sketch lightly at first and only darken the line when you get the shape right. This line should be sort of similar to a check mark. And below the eye, draw a couple more curved lines to emphasize the shape of the eye socket. At the top, draw another sloping line for the top part of the heavy brow. And this line should be close to the top edge of the circle. To the right of the eye, draw a couple more sloping lines for a ridge on the top jaw. And draw these two lines close to the top edges of the guides. And now use the initial arc-like shape on the right side as a guide to draw the top jaw. Darken the front part of the guide, but make it a bit more angled at the bottom to create a sort of beak-like shape. And extend the bottom line farther to the left along the path of the horizontal construction guide. And this will create the top edge of the open mouth. Draw a short line on the front part of the shape for the nostril. And an extra line at the bottom to really emphasize the shape of the beak. Add a curved line at the bottom for the other side of the top jaw. And now draw a series of small triangular shapes along the path of the open mouth for the teeth. And don't draw the teeth all the way to the right, make sure that you stop before you get to the beak-like shape. And on the left side, draw a short angled line to give the top jaw more structure. Below that, draw a long curved line for the first part of the lower jaw. And sketch this line lightly at first and only darken it when you get the shape right. And darken the bottom edges of the initial guides to create the bottom edge of the lower jaw. Curve the left side of this line upward to meet the top jaw. Follow the basic path of the initial circle as you draw the shape. And draw a short line for the small segment that connects both jaws. Draw more triangular shapes along the path of the lower jaw for more teeth. Draw some teeth on the other side of the lower jaw as well. Just follow the path of the initial guides as you draw these shapes. And darken the lines to emphasize the shape of the lower jaw, but don't overlap the teeth as you darken the line. And at the top, draw a couple of curved lines to connect to the top jaw. And inside the mouth, draw a sloping line for the tongue. And add another short line for the intersection of the mouth. Now draw the rest of the head by darkening the outer edges of the initial guidelines. Make the lines thick and dark, and draw the top part of the head slightly higher than the initial guidelines to represent the brow that's on the other side. Add a short line to the left of the eye to really emphasize the shape of the skull. Add a few short lines inside the beak too. And if you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And now let's move on to the body. Use the angled line that's inside the front part of the body as a guide to draw the arm. So first, lightly sketch the shape of the arm around the guideline. Draw the shape of the forearm around the guide and make the left side of the forearm slightly wider than the right. And at the bottom, follow the curvature of the guide to create the hand. Make the lines more curved to create the joints. And at the very bottom, draw a thin shape that points to the left for the first digit. Make the left side of the shape thin and pointy to represent the claw. And now draw another thin pointy shape to the right for the other digit. And this shape is pointing downward, so draw the claw pointing down. Now draw the top part of the arm by drawing an angled line right above the forearm. And add a curved line on the left side to make the shape of the arm wider. And use curved lines to create the muscle structure on the arm. Don't close off the shape at the bottom because that's where the folded wing will be. Draw the shape of the folded wing along the path of the long sloping line. Draw a couple of curved lines to create the base of the digit and then darken the rest of the guide. So this shape is basically another digit that's long enough to create the wing. Draw another long curved line to make this shape wider. And make the top of this shape thin and pointy. So this basically creates a long thin digit that points backward. And now draw another long curved line to create the main section of the wing. Draw this line so that it curves in toward the forearm. And higher up, draw another long curved line for the outer edge of the folded wing. So the shape of the folded wing should be similar to a long thin triangle. Now use the angled line that's on the left side and under the body as a guide to draw the first leg. First, lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. And use curved lines as you draw the shape to create the muscle structure. The top part of the leg should be slightly wider than the bottom. At the bottom, bend the shape to the right to create the tip of the foot. And when you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. And darken the foot at the bottom, and on the tip, draw a small triangular shape for the first claw, and to the left, draw another small triangular shape for the other claw. And draw a curved line above this triangle to separate the toes. Add a few more lines too for creases on the toes. And above the foot, draw another curved line for the third toe. And this toe is similar to a velociraptor's toe, so at the top, draw a thin curved shape for the giant claw. And make the tip of the claw thin and pointy and darken the shape of the toe. Add a couple of short lines above the wing for the base of the hind leg. Don't overlap the wing as you draw these shapes. Now use the line on the right as a guide to draw the other leg the same way. Just like before, first lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Bend the lines around the guide to create the joints on the leg. And when you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. And at the bottom, draw a long curved line for the big toe. And this is the big velociraptor toe that's on this side of the foot. So draw a long curved line at the top for the claw. And make the shape of the claw thin and pointy at the tip. And draw the rest of the toe as a curved line at the top. And then just darken the rest of the foot. And add a thin pointy shape slightly higher for another small claw. And now darken the shape on the right side for the remaining toe. And on the tip of this toe, draw a small triangular shape for the claw. And now use the remaining shapes and lines as guides to draw the rest of the body. And draw a few short angled lines along the top part of the body for the spikes on the back. And don't make these spikes too tall. Just draw a few angled lines for sort of short spikes along the back. And below the neck, draw a short angled line that points to the left for the digit of the other hand that's on the other side of the body. And add another thin pointy shape to the right for the other digit. And now darken the long curved line at the top for the first part of the tail. Add another curved line at the bottom to make the shape of the tail thicker, but don't overlap the folded wing. And at the top, draw a thin triangular shape for the visible section of the other folded wing. And you can use the first wing as a template to draw the tip of the other folded wing. Now go over the final lines with permanent ink. Take your time and be careful when you ink your drawing to avoid any accidents, and don't ink the initial guidelines, only the final drawing. And when the ink dries, erase all of the guidelines. And now color your drawing. I'm using markers to color, but you can use colored pencils too. Use light gray to color the main section of the body. Add a bit of darker gray throughout the body to create shadows. Shadows will give the figure more dimension and volume. Add a few spots and stripes across the body using a dark value too. Slowly and gradually add a darker value to really emphasize the pattern on the skin. Add a bit of blue to the skin to give the Mutadon a bit more color. Add a bit of light orange across the body too. Continue to add more value and color across the body. Use black to color the claws, but leave thin strips blank at the tops for highlights. Add a cast shadow at the bottom using gray. Go over the final lines with ink again to emphasize the shapes. And add a few more lines across the body to add extra texture on the skin. Keep coloring until you're happy with the result. And that's it for the Mutadon. Remember to pause the video to draw at your own pace. Also, please visit howtodrawanimals.com for more tutorials. That's how, and then the number 2, then drawanimals.com. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying my books on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. Let me know in the comments what other animals you want to see me draw. Don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep drawing.